In this video, we're going to take a look at the mapping features in Rolescape. All Rolescapes can have maps, and if you boost your Rolescapes, they can have even more maps. The size of maps are limited only by the upload size rather than the resolution. And the way this is handled is you simply open a location. All maps are related to at least one location. And you can simply drag and drop a file onto it, and then it will upload it and start preparing it. And this can take a while. This is a pretty big map that I've just added. And what it's now doing is it's creating a tileable Slippy map that is compatible with mobile devices as well as desktop. And it can take a while, but that's fine. You can go away and you can come back and it will still say that it's loading. It's just working in the background, and when it's done, it'll be available. Once it is complete, however, you can simply go and click on it and it will open up the map. So here's that map that I have of my main region in this Rolescape. It's the Rithian Vale. And I already have some entries on it. So these points of interest here are actually in the Tome of Lore. And it's really quite easy to add them, as we'll see in a moment. But you can add not only points, you can also have regions. So this area, the Mistwaters, as soon as I mouse over it, it knows that this is the Mistwaters from the Tome of Lore. And similarly, this river here, it knows is the River Mid. And wherever I mouse over the river, it actually shows up. So you can zoom in and out very easily, pan around, as you would expect on a mobile map, such as like on Google Maps or what have you. We can also drill into features a bit more. So here's a city of Gossel. I can click on it, and if you have editing capabilities or rights to the map, you can hit edit and it will let you change it, change the location and whatnot. You can also read more, and this will show the Tome of Lore entry for it, making it really easy to explore the data in your maps. And of course, these links all work and they open up in new tabs, so you won't lose your spot on the map. Also, you'll notice that Gossel has a map because it's a city, so okay, it has its own map, and it's listed here. And if I click on it, it's of course going to load the map of Gossel here, and you can switch between maps this way, kind of exploring your region or of your world. So we'll come back here to the main map, and you can also move features around really easily just by kind of clicking on them and moving them about. So that's really handy. And then we can look at the buttons that are around kind of the chrome on the map. So in the upper left, we have search. If you click on it or hit the / key on your keyboard, you can start to search. So I can start searching for Ent, for instance, and it will bring up the matching entries. And you'll notice that Gossel comes up because it actually mentions them in its text, in the text of its Tome of Lore entry. So this is doing a full text search. So you don't have to just search for the name. You can actually search for content within it. It's really handy and really quite fast as well. The button below it takes you back to the Tome of Lore from where you came, which is really cool. And we'll see in a moment how we can navigate back and forth from the Tome of Lore to your maps. Down in the bottom left, we have zoom in and out, which of course you can just zoom with the scroll button on your mouse, or if you're on mobile devices, you can pinch and zoom, which is really easy. There's also a full screen button, which puts the map literally full screen with no other Chrome around it. On the top right are two buttons, only there if you have edit capabilities on the map. And so the first one is Configure Map. It lets you name it, so you can change the name to something that's maybe nicer to look at, whether it's visible to the players or not, and what type it is, whether it's overland or interior, and the level. These ones don't do a whole lot right now, but there are plans to take advantage of these. You can also delete the map here if you wish, and of course it confirms it before it does so. So if I want to edit the map, I can click on this button in the top right. And what that does is it brings up a series of tools. The normal one, the arrow pointer, which allows us to interact with points of interest as well as move things around. But we also have the line tool and the polygon tool. So these we use to create those line features. So when I open up the line tool, it actually shows me the line that I have. So I haven't actually completed this all the way down. I thought I would kind of show you how I tend to do this. So you can see I was roughly following the river. It doesn't have to be exact. It gives you a bit of space on either side. And if you want, as soon as you get near it, you'll see it shows a little edit vertex on there. And the way I find is really handy is just to create a new one just by clicking anywhere on it, pulling it way, like just putting it down here, and then maybe pull this and back down here. And then you can just come in and just kind of drag and fit it all the way along. There's no limit to how many points you can have, really. And this will let us know that it is indeed actually creating or editing where this river is. Of course, if I want to create a new line entry, for instance, perhaps there's a wall or a boundary here, I can just click, and when I'm done, I can double click, and then it'll ask me whether I want to make a marker here from the Tome of Lore, from a new Tome of Lore entry, or a map only marker. So if I go from Tome of Lore, it's going to ask me to search. So I can search again for, Ents or whatever. And again, it does a full text search, and I can include one of the things, pick one of them, and then hit save, and it'll create that entry. However, I can also create a new Tome of Lore entry. This is just like in the adventure log where you create new entries in the timeline. Same thing. So, a new entry, and you can pick what the category is. Again, whether that entry is visible to the players or not. And finally, you can have map only markers. So these are markers that don't show up or don't have a Tome of Lore entry. They just have a name, and you can add a title to them. So that's pretty easy and pretty simple. And when you go back to the regular button, well, you can still edit your points of entry or your points of interest. So I can click on this one, I can edit it, and it'll let me change the entry. Or if I click somewhere that doesn't have one, it'll give me that same menu, and I have the same choices to pick something from the Tome of Lore, create a new Tome of Lore entry, or make a map only marker. You'll notice that the line that was showing for the river goes away. I can't edit it anymore, but I can just mouse over it, or I can click on it, and when you click on it, it'll show up as well. Same thing with regional or polygon features. You can click on them, they'll show the extent of them, and you can edit them, read more, exactly like the point of interest or line entries. And of course, to edit those, we just turn on the editor, and again, we can just grab a piece of it and move it around. We can create a new one in exactly the same way. So I can surround this, and I can create new markers here. And as soon as it's created, it also shows up on anyone else's map who's viewing it immediately. So I'm not going to create one there. So you'll also notice that you can make these visible or not. So this is independent from the visibility of the Tome of Lore entry. So you can have a Tome of Lore entry that is visible, but they don't know where it is on the map. Then you can make a marker for it, and then come in here and make the marker visible. By default, when you create a new entry with the Tome of Lore associated with it, it uses it or defaults to the visibility of the Tome of Lore entry, so you don't accidentally reveal things. So that's maps in a nutshell. They allow you to create content either from the map rather than starting from the Tome of Lore, which I like to do sometimes, looking at a map, get inspiration, or what's up here in the Northern Wilds, or what is Cimberley about? And so you can start creating things right from the map. You can drill down, this is really cool during the game, especially where you can say, okay, yes, we're going to, the city of Gossel, and all the players can just go in and load that map directly. You don't have to bounce around and go back and forth. And of course, you have these nice features that you can see. So really quickly, we'll take a look. So we looked at, look at Gossel. So Gossel is a location here. It has two maps, one of its own and one that it appears on. And if I click on the one that it appears on, it'll take me back to that map, and it'll center the map on its marker, which is also really handy. And now when I click back on here, it'll take me back to Gossel, where I came from. So we really hope that you enjoy the maps features. There's a lot more to come, but they're already just remarkably, I think anyways, useful. If you have any feedback or ideas or thoughts, please don't hesitate to visit us on Reddit in our Rolescape or on our Discord server and provide some feedback. Thank you very much, and see you soon.